What is one of the things that we do not know here on problem number 2?
How much the popcorn and pretzels cost?
Well, we know how much they
How
cost.
many they sell?
How many they sold. Okay, so those are the two things we don't know. And again, if you're looking, if you don't know what to define your variable as, a lot of times the last sentence will tell you exactly what they're wanting you to find. How many bags of popcorn do they sell? How many pretzels do they sell? Right there, that information is telling us what x and y need to be. I'm going to use x and y as my variables. I would avoid using p for popcorn and, again, p for pretzels. That's not really going to work very good. So I'm going to use x and y. So let's let x be the number of bags of popcorn. And y would be the number of pretzels sold. I noticed on some of the homework problems that some of you were just writing popcorn, pretzels. You weren't being specific as to what. Was it the cost of the pretzels and popcorn? Was it the number? And a lot of you, when you got answers, especially on that first problem on the homework, you got 14.5 and you're thinking, uh-oh, that's not going to be right, it's a decimal. But if you had defined your variable as the cost of a bag or the cost of the soccer ball, it would have made more sense. It would have helped you to think through. So the more specific you can be up here when you define your variables, it's going to make it a lot more sense when you solve your equations in the third step. So let's write our two equations. What kind of information are we given that can help us to write our equation? Wyatt?
The cost of each of the bags of popcorn, pretzel, and then how much you collected.
Very good. We know the cost for one bag of popcorn and the cost for one pretzel, as well as the total amount collected. So they tell us $2.50 for a bag of popcorn. So they sold X number of bags of popcorn. If I wanted to write an expression that represents the number or the amount of money brought in from popcorn, how would I write that? The amount of money brought in just from popcorn.
You'd have to do 250 X.
250 times X. Have you guys heard of number times price? You heard that before? Number times price? Number times price. Number is the number of items times the price. A lot of times in algebra you take number times price. In this case, you would take number times price to get the expression that represents the total amount, at least for the popcorn. Plus, they also sold some pretzels. How much does each pretzel cost?
$2.
$2 for a pretzel. And they sold Y, number of pretzels. So to represent that expression, we would use 2Y. They brought in a total of $336. Alright. How or what information do they give us that might help us to set up the second equation? Wyatt?
It says that they sold twice as many bags of popcorn.
You got it. They sold twice as many bags of popcorn as pretzels. That right there is very important, and that will help us to write our second equation. Now, before we jump into this equation, let's kind of talk about what that means. I'm going to make me a little table here. Popcorn, this says popcorn, and then this says pretzels. We let X be our popcorn, correct? At least the number of bags sold of popcorn. And pretzels, that's Y. According to the problem, they sold twice as many bags of popcorn. So let's say they only sold 5 pretzels. How many bags of popcorn did they sell?
10.
10. How do we know that?
Because they sold twice as much.
They sold twice as much. So twice 5 is 10. What if they sold 20 pretzels? How many bags of popcorn did they sell? 40. Because it's twice the number of pretzels. What if they sold 50 pretzels? How many bags of popcorn did they sell? 100, because they sold twice as many. So let's think about that. Think about what we're saying. They sold twice the number of pretzels as popcorn. How can you show twice the pretzels? 2y. They sold twice the pretzels. Okay? So if you take 2 times however many pretzels they sold, that's going to equal what? X. They sold twice the number of pretzels. So if you double the number of pretzels, that's going to equal however many bags of popcorn they sold. Alright, from here you should be able to solve. What method would you use? Substitution would probably be best. Yeah, substitution would probably be the best choice. Okay, today your job is to get through these 3 problems. You have a lot of time. You have a little more than 30 minutes in here. There should be no reason why you guys don't get most, if not all of these done in here in class. I will allow you to group up as long as you are on task. If you're not on task today, I'm going to ask you to go back to your seat and work by yourself. Okay. But this one I wanted to set up with you. The others should not be as complicated as that second equation. They should all be things that you guys can do. Okay, so go ahead and complete 1 through 3.